Russell Martin's reign at Ibrox is crumbling fast, and after starting a striker with fewer touches than Jack Butland, his sacking could be a matter of hours, not days. A furious fan confronts Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart in a hotel bust-up after the Graz humiliation. Barry Ferguson lurks in the shadows as the only man who could salvage this disaster, but would he even want to? Kenny McLean slams Derek Cornelius for switching off during yet another shocking European collapse, and the defense breaks a record that stood since the Victorian era for all the wrong reasons. It's chaos at Rangers, and I'm taking you right into the fire. Picture the scene. A quiet hotel lobby in Austria suddenly turned into a storm of frustration, emotion, and raw honesty. After Rangers stumbled to a 2-1 defeat against Sturm Graz in the Europa League, tensions boiled over, and rightly so. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell, already under scrutiny for planning to hand his own son a key recruitment role at Ibrox, found himself face-to-face with a raging supporter who had made the journey to Austria only to witness utter mediocrity on the pitch. Leaked videos made the rounds, and let me tell you, it's pure drama. The fan, visibly emotional, unloads a scathing assessment of the performance. That's rotten. And do you know what? You can't argue with him. Now, credit where it's due. Thelwell didn't just walk off with his tail between his legs. He stopped. He listened. He even offered to sit down and talk. The confrontation ended with a handshake, sure, but the message was crystal clear. You've got every right to demand better. And then comes Patrick Stewart, the chief executive, wading in and asking a fan, "Who would you bring in? Sorry, what? Is that how low the standards have dropped? The suits asking the support to solve the mess?" And then came the punchline. Michael Beale would have beaten these teams. Philippe Clement too. That's the level we're dealing with now. Fans longing for managers they once wanted out. It's not just frustration, it's confusion. It's a complete breakdown in trust between the boardroom and the terracing. Are the suits at Ibrox completely out of touch with the standards you expect, or have we become too soft on the decision-makers who keep dragging this club into embarrassment? You ever seen a man look like he knows his numbers up before it's even been called? That was Russell Martin after that 2-1 collapse to Sturm Graz. In the post-match press conference, he looked like a guy packing his emotional suitcase, not even waiting for the formalities. The words were there, but the belief gone. He pointed fingers at mentality, concentration, even throw-ins. Throw-ins, for goodness sake. Blaming the players for not following instructions, for switching off, for not being alert. And sure, the squad's no exactly filled with leaders right now, but what does it say when the manager himself admits the players just don't do what he coaches? That's not miscommunication. That's a complete breakdown. This is now 23 games in a row that Rangers have conceded a goal. That's not a stat. That's a disgrace. Our 128-year-old record shattered under Martin's watch. And the worst part? You knew it was coming. The moment the ball went out for a throw-in, you felt the danger. Let's be real, Rangers are 8th in the league, the lowest scorers in the country, and nowhere near competing. The league title? Out the window. The Europa League campaign? Hanging by a thread, with trips to Bran, Braga, Porto, and Roma still to come. And that transfer window? He had one. 14 players in, 14 reasons why that excuse doesn't hold water, and yet while Martin's scrambling for answers, one name keeps creeping back into the conversation. Barry Ferguson, a man who took over in chaos last season, had no summer, no money, and still got us to a Europa League quarter-final. Big away nights in Turkey, wins over Celtic, grit, belief, mentality, all the stuff that's vanished under this regime. Now, Derek Ferguson doesn't think Barry would even take the job back after the disrespect shown. But could you blame him if he said no? He's Rangers through and through, and they hung him out to dry. But let's cut to it. This isn't just about Russell Martin. It's about the folk above him, the ones who gave him the job, the ones who thought 14 inexperienced players were the answer. The ones asking fans to solve recruitment and managerial decisions in hotel lobbies. If Barry Ferguson's not coming back and Martin's already failed, are the Rangers board now the biggest problem at Ibrox, and should they be the next ones out the door before this club crumbles even further? A slow start, careless defending, and a mountain to climb that no one in this squad seems capable of scaling. Derek Cornelius came out after the match and tried to be honest, saying the team needed to look in the mirror. A fair enough sentiment, but Kenny McLean wasn't having any of it, and he's right, isn't he? Cornelius was part of the problem. That first goal, lost positioning, intercepted throw-in, Sautar asleep, Butland fumbling it like it was a bar of soap in the shower. It's the kind of sequence you'd expect in pre-season, not in the Europa League. Cornelius said, "We switched off," but here's the thing. This team has been switching off for months. McLean said it plain. You can't switch off at this level, and the brutal truth is, it happens too often. It's not one game. It's not one phase of play. It's the identity of this team under Russell Martin. You saw the same script against Genk, against Club Brugge, against Aberdeen. Always the same mistakes, always the same faces looking shocked after the damage is done. And then post-match interviews come along filled with empty lines like, "We'll learn from it," or "We weren't focused." How many lessons do they need before someone gets expelled? And it's not just the players. Russell Martin's tactics are clearly no working. That high line is suicidal. One pass through the middle, and it's panic stations every time. Sautar looks like a deer caught in headlights. Cornelius is being asked to do things he's not suited for. And as for Jack Butland, he's regressing with every match. One clean sheet all season, and ironically, it came against Celtic. Everything else? Embarrassing. Should Rangers strip the armband from James Tavernier and clear out the entire defensive core in January? Or is Russell Martin's system so broken that even a backline of Barisi, Maldini, and Guff would look like amateurs under his watch? You know things are rotten when your striker has fewer touches than your goalkeeper. That's where we are. And Youssef Chermiti managed 24 touches. Jack Butland, he had 31. Let that sink in. This wasn't just another defeat. This was managerial negligence dressed up as tactical selection. Russell Martin, with his job dangling by a thread, looked at the bench, saw Bojan Miovski sitting there, a proven scorer, a physical presence, a guy who actually wants to get on the end of a cross, and chose instead to roll the dice on an £8 million panic buy who hasn't scored a goal in almost a year and a half. Chermiti was the second most expensive post-liquidation signing in Rangers history, and only behind Tore Andre Flo. Flo at least gave you moments. This lad, 3 shots on target, but from poor angles, an XG of 0.49, fewer successful duels than his match rank would suggest, and ultimately no end product. 0 goals in 24 appearances for Everton, and still nothing in blue. Now look, young players need time. That's fair. But time is a luxury you don't have when you're 8 points off the top of the league, bottom of your European group, and days away from breaking a defensive record that stood since Queen Victoria was alive. Ali McCoist, with typical wit, said Chermiti will need to score 200 or 300 goals to justify the fee, and right now, you'd take just one goal. Because if the striker's not scoring and the defense is falling apart, what are you actually watching? And let's no forget the bigger picture. Rangers have now lost 5 consecutive games in Europe, conceding 14 and scoring just 3. The last time we had an away clean sheet was almost a year ago, December, in Dingwall. The league campaign is already in ruins, and we're only in October. Martin had a full summer. 14 players brought in, £20 million promised by the 49ers, and yet it's week after week of the same dross. No shape, no steel, no goals, no grit. When your season is hanging by a thread and your job is on the line, Is starting a goal-shy 21-year-old over a proven scorer like Majowski enough of a reason to be sacked on the spot? Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers. See you soon.